So, in today's lecture we take an example this time on hydrodynamics. Okay. So far what we did was on mass transfer, and in hydrodynamics essentially we look at loading and flooding conditions. So, if you recall earlier we said that if you have a packed column and the liquid and gas they have counter current flows, they flow counter currently, then there is a possibility of loading or flooding. In other words, if the liquid flow rate liquid which trickles from the top has a high flow rate or large flow rate relative to the gas flow rate, it is possible that the liquid will prevent gas to flow through the column, and in that case the column will be flooded with the liquid. On this, at the same time, if the gas flow rate is very large, there is a possibility of channeling maldistribution inside, the gas will prevent liquid to flow from the top. So, one has to optimize the liquid and gas flow rates or the ratios of liquid and gas flow rate to ensure that the pressure drop is reasonable and there is no loading and flooding. So, in this case we also said that we have a very well known quite popular graph proposed earlier, plotted by Pickford or Sherwood, Eckert, and so we are going to make use of that same plot to address this problem of loading and flooding through this example. Okay. So, let us take this example on hydrodynamics. Okay. And we said we look at loading and flooding criteria. So, we have a packed column, absorption, okay. We have gas flowing through this, liquid trickles from the top, and this is a packed column. So, in this example it says this column is packed with 25 millimeter ceramic made interlocks saddle packing. So, this is the name of this packing. Okay. And here it is given the flow rate of this flue gas is 0.8 cubic meter per second. Okay. Temperature is given 30 degree centigrade, pressure is 1 bar, and this flue gas contains 7% of sulfur dioxide, and it is given volume by volume. So, essentially 0.07 is a mole fraction of this. Okay. And this is treated with a liquid or certain aqueous ammoniacal solutions. The flow rate is 3.8 kg per second. So, 2 means this level is 2 and this end is 1 here. Physical properties of the liquid is given rho L 1235 kg per cubic meter. Viscosity of the liquid is given as 2.5 10 to the power minus 3 kg per meter per second. Height of this column is given here 1 meter. So far we have not said how to determine this height of the column, that will be the next topic, but right now it's all it says 1 meter height, and the liquid flow rate here is L1. Pressure drop per unit length, okay. This must not exceed, or it is given as 400 Newton per meter square per meter. So, that is a pressure drop per unit length, okay. And the question asked is what is the diameter or possible diameter of this column. All right. So, before we take up that graph, if you recall, we had this Eckert plot or the plot proposed by Eckert, or we had this or later modified by Pickford, which we call it flooding and loading graph. You had these curves, and here we had certain quantities which we are supposed to evaluate. Okay. So, on the x axis, on the y axis. So, let us do this first. So, first we have to determine L prime by G prime, rho G over rho L to the power 0.5. So, this is on your x coordinate. So, you are required to visit that graph given in the Treball, given in the McCabe-Smith, well known, well popular graph, which was generated 1938 by Eckert, later modified. You might see several versions of this. So, Eckert, Pickford plot where you have this loading and flooding criteria. So, go to the plot and see what we have with x quantities. Here you have L prime, L bar over G bar, rho G over rho L to the power 0.5. Similarly, you have certain quantities on Y which are supposed to calculate. Okay, so that is what we are doing here. So, L bar G bar, now this is your kg per second per meter square, and this meter square is your cross sectional area per unit cross sectional area. That is what we are supposed to find out. So, that we get 80, and from there we get the diameter of this column. Okay. And so, the flue gas composition is given here. Let us calculate now G as kg mole or kilomole per second. Excuse me. So, let us make it kilomole per second. So, this G would be 0.8, that is a cubic meter per second. So, let us make pressure temperature corrections. 273 divided by 303, 0.987 over 1. So, that is a pressure correction 1 bar, and then we know 22.4 liter per mole. So, we have 0.0317 kilomole per second of this gas flow rate. So, it is given to us. Molecular weight of this of this flue gas we can calculate at 0.07 into 64 plus 0.93 into 29. So, 7% is sulfur dioxide, rest we assume it is air. So, to average molecular weight of this flue gas at the entrance 31.45 kg per kilomole. Now, it is also important that we understand that in this column the mass flow rate of the gas will change as the sulfur dioxide is stripped, it was absorbed in water or on the solvent. Essentially, we have 1 here and we have 2, and molecular weight we have calculated. I was trying to point out here that this is based on this G1 conditions. Why? Because at one end we have very high flow rates. So, liquid which also trickles from this, it is enriched with sulfur dioxide. So, one does the calculation based on end 1 rather than based on 2. So, we have calculated this based on this 7% of sulfur dioxide which is in this gas phase here. So, G is 31, molecular weight is 31.45 kg per kilomole, which means now we can calculate G in terms of kg per second. 0.0317 multiplied by 31.45 equals 0.998 kg per second. Okay. Rho G gas density 0.998 divided by 0.8, all right, to make it 1.248 kg per cubic meter. So, this is the volumetric flow rate. This was given to us cubic meter per second, and just now we calculated kg per second. So, we can get the gas density. Alternatively, we will get the same result if you calculate Pm over RT for rho G. You will get the same result. You must check as an exercise. So, now we can calculate our x L prime over G prime. Okay. Now, notice that this L prime and G prime, that is given in kg per second per meter square, but the ratios of L prime over G prime will be same as L over G. So, we calculate this quantity rho G over rho L to the power 0.5, which is on the x axis. This is equal to 3.94 over 0.0137, 1.248 over 1235 to the power 0.5. So, liquid flow rate is given 3.94, 3.8 kg per second. Okay, so we'll correct this 3.8 kg per second. Okay, and this is what we just now we calculated G 0.0137. So, this is 31.45. 0.0317, that's a kilomole per second. Okay, so we need to replace this 3.8 divided by 0.998. So we have this corrections here. L prime 3.8 and 0.998, and if we do this, we have this quantity 0.125. Okay, and similarly we have to determine the quantity on y axis, but there we have this y axis, we have gn square Cf mu L to the power 0.1 divided by rho g rho L minus rho g Gc. So this is also you have G prime. Okay. So now all we do, we are supposed to evaluate this quantity G prime from here. We know the ratios of L prime over G prime from the x axis. So now we can go back to that plot. So take the plot from Treball or from some textbook. We have this plot 0.01, typically we have here 10. Okay, here you have 0.001, 0.4, and you have several of this curve. The top curve, of course, we know this is flooding curve. Okay, and then you have several of other curves with a different pressure drop. So this is 1200, for example, 400, and all the units here is Newton per meter square per meter. So that's your del P over L. So now we know this quantity, which was L prime over G prime rho G over rho L to the power 0.5. This we calculated as 0.125. So we mark this point. Pressure drop per unit length, if you recall, this was given in the example, it's 400 Newton per meter square per meter. Okay. So from here we come to this curve and we calculate this quantity on the y, which is G1 square Cf mu L 0.1 over rho G rho L minus rho G Gc. Now this you should also recall that the Cf is packing factor, which means we are supposed to go back to the table we discussed a couple of lectures ago for this packing of 25 millimeter ceramic Intelox saddle. So if you look at that one of those tables, you will see type of the packings, size of the packings, and you will see a factor here A, interfacial area, as well as you will see a quantity Cf, which is a packing factor given by the manufacturer. So take this factor, calculate this, take this number, which would be 98 from the table, and calculate this quantity. If you look at this graph, from this graph, this quantity would be 0.061. We know all of this, rho L, rho G, Gc1 in this unit, Cf, we know viscosity properties are given as an exercise. We just do the calculation, you should get the answer. G1 equals 1.321 kg per meter square per second. So this is your kg per meter square per second. So which means the area of the column, cross sectional area of the column, A is G over G prime, which is 0.998 over 1.321 to give you 0.756 meters square. So that's the cross sectional area, and based on this you get the diameter of the column as 0.98 or approximately 1 meter. All right. So this is what we obtained from this loading and flooding curve here. All right. So of course this is an example we had on hydrodynamics. The idea is that we are not hitting this flooding curve. Okay. Some examples or some problems could be rephrased in different way. Knowing L prime G prime or the ratios of the two flow rates on the x axis, you may be asked to calculate what is the maximum gas flow rate for which we have this flooding. So, all you are supposed to do, mark this point, hit this flooding curve, you get G prime. And very often, as you said, if you recall, we said that we operate on 70%. Most of the Jobson columns, they operate on 70% of the flooding limit. So, once you know that flow rate, take the 70% of this, get your new del P by L pressure drop per unit length here. In this case, of course, this was given 400 Newton per meter square per meter. So, the problems can be rephrased. The idea here is that you must understand that the flow in the Jobson column is counter current. We have the gas flowing from the bottom and we have the liquid flowing from the top. So, there is always a possibility of one flow rate relatively being very much larger than the other flow rate, trying to prevent the flow of one from the other in getting into this column. So, one has to watch out for this flooding limit. Of course, when you take a very larger flow rates of the gas, you have the pumping cost. If you have a very large flow rate of the liquid, you also have a pumping cost. So, the cost of the pump, cost of the blower for the gas also has to be taken into considerations while designing an absorption columns. So, again we have this cost or the economic to play a role here, just like in the previous lectures we said that height of the column or the amount of the liquid flow rate or the amount of the gas, okay, all of this they also play a major role in the economy, which we cannot ignore. So, I am sure at some levels you have a design course in which you are going to address this economy part of it. When you design a column, one has to watch out for the hydrodynamics, so that the column is not flooded, it is stable, and given that conditions, how much is your velocity, superficial velocity, based on which you have a Reynolds number, based on that you have a mass transfer coefficients, based on that you have a flux, and one can determine the height of the column or how much distance we require, how much height we require to rectify this flue gas or treat this gas from one level to another level. So, that is the second topic we are going to take after this. So far what we have done, equilibrium curve, operating curve which is linear for absorption or for stripping columns, one above this equilibrium curve, one below the curve, and now we have this hydrodynamics. Now, next step would be that we should be able to determine what is the height of this column, right. This flow rate kg per second per meter square, that is decided by the diameter, size of the column. So, size of the column comes from the hydrodynamics, pressure drop considerations. Height will come from mass transfer, that is more important in this course. Okay. So, let us start this second part of this this chapter. How do we determine height of the tower? Height of tower or absorption column, and we are saying that we have this packed bed. So, essentially we have a packed bed column and we are looking at height of a tower. So far we discussed equilibrium curve, we discussed operating curve, operating lines. Two together we have marked all essential coordinates, and based on this we also determine minimum liquid or gas flow rate. All right. So, recall when the previous example we said that how to determine this Ls by Gs, min or max, depending upon we are talking of absorption column or we are talking of stripping columns. So, this is what we have done here, but this does not give us height of a column, right. All it says, it gives us a boundary. These two, 1 and 2 decides us the boundary of operating limits, Ls, Gs, L, G, X, Y or capital X, capital Y. So, these are the quantities we can determine, we can locate, we can also obtain at any location what is the driving force for mass transfer. This can also be obtained from 1 and 2. So, again here you should recall that we have another line which has a slope of kx over ky, which we if we take the ratios, that will give us yi or xi's, and so forth. We can have del y or we can have del xi. So, driving force for mass transfer, that is what we do from 1 and 2. Then we went ahead and we did hydrodynamics. Hydrodynamics gives us stable operating conditions from the operation point of view. This gives us the diameter. What we are interested now is height ht. Okay. So, height of a packed bed tower or absorption column, which is nothing but, again you recall, this is nothing but continuous contact equipment. So, we are not talking of trays, stages. This is a continuous contact equipment, a column packed with certain packing, having certain meter square per cubic meter interfacial area, certain type of packing, two phase are allowed to come in contact, and we want to achieve concentration reduced from Y1 to Y2 in this treated gas. All right. So, that is the objective, how much height we require, how tall should be the column. Now, here before we get into mathematics, let us understand the approach. So, traditionally what approaches we have? First, we must recognize that it is a continuous contact. Of course, the contact could be as complex as possible. It is not a very simple simple contact, that the liquid flows from the top and gas flows from the bottom. We have all types of packing, right. It could be Burl saddle, could be lacing rings, could be racing rings, could be interlux saddle, which we have seen here. So, there between two phases, gas and liquid, interfacial areas will vary from one location to another locations. There could be channelings, there could be maldistributions. For our purpose, of course, we say that we have an ideal situations. Okay, there is no channeling, there is no maldistributions. So, whatever interfacial area we have, the packing provides, between the two phases, it is available for mass transfer. But still the hydrodynamics is quite complex here, right. You require, again you should be able to revisit the previous lectures, you require a very extensive CFD, computational fluid dynamics, to resolve the hydrodynamics in such packed column. We confine ourselves to these bulk properties or bulk variables like Reynolds number. Reynolds number is less than 1 based on the packing size, we say that it is a laminar flow. Reynolds number is very large, 100, 1000, we say that there is a turbulent. Okay. And then we define mass transfer coefficients, and we said that all complexities of hydrodynamics are embedded in mass transfer coefficients. So, as an engineer, we make use of this Kx, knowing Reynolds number, knowing Smith number, we can calculate Sherwood number, we can calculate mass transfer. So, mass transfer coefficients, and then we can predict the rate, etc. So, that is the approach we are going to take it. More important here is that we are going to address continuous contact. It is not a trace like in distillation columns. So, that we will address separately. In absorption column, most of the absorption columns we have this packed column. There are some industrial trays also, where you can have trays and the two streams can be brought in contact. We confine this course or the discussion in this course to this continuous packed bed column. Okay. And when we say continuous packed bed column, there is an approach well known, it is called NTU and STU approach. So, number of transfer units and height of a transfer units. Okay. So, again before we get into the mathematics, we are trying to say here that this column, which has say 5 meter tall, can be divided into several of small units, 10 units, 20 units, 5 units. Each unit has a height. So, we have NTU, number of transfer unit and height of a transfer unit. So, NTU multiplied by STU should give you the height. So, that is the approach we have. We will see how do we calculate these quantities NTU and STU, which will give us the height. Diameter, mind you, we have already fixed from hydrodynamics, and there also it is also possible that in one of the design courses you will see it is quite an iterative process. In other words, you start with certain diameter, you ensure that there is no loading and flooding, you calculate the height, you may have to go back and check the diameter. Why? Because maybe it was cost prohibitive, cost of this column, taking into consideration the cost of the packing, cost of this tower, cost of your liquid or the gas handling system, power cost, blower cost, etc., becomes too much. So, it is always a very rigorous process, iterative. You require to do a lot of programming that you will do separately in some codes at third or fourth year level. So, right now we confine our discussion to NTU and STU to determine the height of a column. Okay. So, we have NTU and HTU. Number of transfer units, and we have height of a transfer unit. So, the height of this column, if we denote by HT or Z, this will be nothing but NTU multiplied by HTU. So, we are supposed to define and determine NTU and STU to get height of this column. Let us draw the schematic again. So, we have the schematic of this absorption column. It is packed with certain packing. That is the first thing. It is packed with certain packing. So, we know the interfacial area. Interfacial area of contact. The packing manufacturer, he supplies this meter square of interfacial area per cubic meter of packing volume. So, generally the manufacturer, he supplies this quantity A, or from the handout, from the tables, this quantity is known to us. Also known to us is that we have given a gas which has a specification GS, G, G1, Y1 and capital Y1. So, you are familiar with this nomenclatures, that GS does not have any subscript, and 1 because this level is 1 here. This gas which is treated, now we will have the specs GS, notice there is no subscript again, but we have G2, small y2 and capital Y2. We have discussed this in the previous class, the meanings of this. To treat this, we have been given the liquid which has a flow rate Ls. Notice there is no subscript. We have L2, we have X2, we have capital X2. And this liquid which trickles out, which flows out from here, has Ls. Notice there is no subscript with Ls. We have L1, we have X1 and we have capital X1. And all these flow rates, we can have moles per second, or one can also have kg per second if you multiply with this molecular weight. So, here the two phases, they mix, they come in contact through these packings. So, we say the hydrodynamics is very complex. Typically, you have liquid film over this and the gas flows past from this. So, it is quite complex here. For our purpose, all we say that there is an interface, very clean interface for our mathematical calculations. One side it is a gas, one side it is a liquid. Recall the concept of bulk, film, concentration drop, interfacial concentrations, and then we have this bulk concentrations. So, we can have Y, X, two bulk concentrations at any locations, and we have Y I and X I, and they are related through this equilibrium or thermodynamics. So, these are the four at any locations. Location from here, if we height at Z, if we choose dz and you expand this, you have these situations. Of course, we must not, again we are trying to repeat here that things are quite complex here. The flow hydrodynamics is quite complex. Hydrodynamics is complex. For our engineering calculations, we have defined this neat, a clean interface between the two phases, gas and liquid, with the bulk phase mole fractions and bulk phase concentration or mole fraction in the other phase liquid. So, here we will have L, this will be G, okay, and we can say we have X, general capital X, or we can have Y and we can have capital Y here and here. Okay. There is a transfer of this species Na. Recall this is mole flux, moles per second per meter square. So, that is a mole flux. When the gas flows from this, at any locations at z, we have taken a differential height dz at which the concentration in the liquid phase is x, in the gas phase it is y. There is a transfer of this species A, which is sulfur dioxide here for example, from gas phase to the liquid phase. So, the concentration changes from y1 to y2 and the liquid picks up the sulfur dioxide and concentration increases from x2 to x1. We have been asked to find out how long is the column, what is the height of this column ht or z to achieve this, to reduce the concentration from y1 to y2. So, all we do, we make a species balance across this dz and see what we obtain mathematically. So, across this differential element of dz, we have gas flowing like this and the liquid flowing like this, L and G. So, if you make a species balance over this differential, you have d g y, change in the gas phase concentrations, d g y, all right. So, this is nothing but moles per second. In 1 second, how much moles of G changes across this, all right, that is the d g y. Why does it change? Because there is a transfer of a species A from gas phase to liquid phase. So, d g y, this will equal to or can be written as d g s y over 1 minus y. So, we are trying to bring this g s here, because we realize that g s does not change along the height, along the column. It is a solvent flow rate. Solvent does not evaporate or the gas does not get dissolved, bulk gas or the carrier gas, air, nitrogen does not get absorbed in liquid, or the liquid does not evaporate into gas phase. So, we write dgs, then gs is constant, we can take it out, then this becomes gs, you can show that this should be gs dy over 1 minus y square, and then this can also be written as g dy going back to gs to g with 1 minus y. So, several ways you can write. What is the concentration? Let us go over once again. In 1 second, so much moles of sulfur dioxide changes across this dz. Why? It is getting absorbed in water. So, dgy equals dgs y over 1 minus y. Gs is constant, does not change along the column. Gs is outside the differential. You can obtain dy by 1 minus y square. You can go back and write gs over 1 minus y as g. So, we have g 1 minus y. That's a concentration species balance we have made in the gas phase. But remember, this will also be equal, the entire quantity which we have calculated and we have written in different forms can also be written in terms of liquid phase, all right. So, whatever happens in the gas phase in 1 second, if 5 moles, if 1 second, if 5 moles changes across this dz, the same 5 moles will appear in your liquid phase. So, that is a species balance. Under steady state, there is no accumulations. So, if the gas flow rate is 5 here and 2 here, what has happened to 5 to 2? 3 must have gone into the liquid phase. So, that is the balance we are trying to make. The quantity which we have written in terms of gas phase and the mole fraction of y, we should have a similar expressions for the liquid phase, all right. So, this also equals by intuitions or otherwise this L x. So, this is your L, this is your x and this is your y. dLx, this is also moles per second. This will also be equal to dLs x over 1 minus xy. Look at the analogy. So, it is the same Ls dx over 1 minus x square. This will also be equal to L dx over 1 minus x. So, all this quantity, this equals this equals this equals this will also be equal to this, will also be equal to this and so forth, because that is your species balance under steady state. And the most important, that all of these quantities will also be equal to N A. So, now we are talking of flux. Why this quantity has changed from across this dz by dgy or by dlx? Because there is a transfer of sulfur dioxide from G phase to L phase in terms of moles per second per meter square. So, now we have getting this into business of this mass transfer diffusion flux equations. So, we have Na moles per second per meter square. Let us write down moles per second per meter square. That is a flux across the two phase, from gas phase to liquid phase. So, whatever changes here, there is a decrease and there is an increase, which is balanced by this gas to liquid, will equal to Na into A, that is packing specifications, meter square per cubic meter. Make a note, this meter square is not the cross sectional area, this is the interfacial area of mass transfer, and we have this packing volume. So, this multiplied by area, cross sectional area of the column into dz, that will be our moles per second. So, moles per second per meter square per cubic meter of the packing volume into AT cross sectional area into dz will give you moles per second. Now, we have the entire species balance in the two phases, gas to liquid, change in the gas phase, whatever is lost in the gas phase is gained in the liquid phase, and that is also equals from the mass transfer point of view Na into A into AT into dz. Here it is very important that we also we are a bit careful. There are two types of nomenclatures used in most of the textbook, one is AP, one is A. AP generally you have meter square per cubic meter of packing, say bird saddle or rashing rings. This A is meter square per cubic meter of total packed volume, which means A can be related to AP into 1 minus epsilon B, where epsilon B would be the bed porosity. So, let us be careful in terms of using the certain nomenclatures, whether it is A or AP or what is supplied by these manufacturers. All right. So, we have done, we have made this species balance between the two phases, gas phase and the liquid phase. Where is the balance? Balance comes through this flux Na, through this interfacial area A, meter square per cubic meter of the packed volumes. Okay. And now, we can go back and still we can bring the expression for Na, diffusion flux. Okay. So, what is this Na now? That is a missing quantity. You recall this expression for Na still holds good. This Na is nothing but consists of two components. One is bulk transport Ya Na plus Nb, and one is your diffusion equations fixed law dAb dYa over dz. Again, be careful, this Z is now your diffusion length. This is not the packing length which we are trying to determine. So, let us be careful with this diffusion length Na plus Nb minus dAb dVc. In our case, Nb is 0, no transport of the bulk across the interface. So, Nb is 0, and again this is a similar exercise which we did in our first couple of lectures. Na by Nb plus will be 1, and this Na can be shown to be equal to dAb RT Z, where this Z in it's a diffusion length, not the height of the column. Total pressure ln 1 minus Y2 over 1 minus Y1. This we have done it after integrations. You can go back and look at your class notes. So, essentially we have two planes of 1 and 2 mole fractions Y1 and Y2, and we have this diffusion length Z, where we applied, if we integrate Na, writing down the equations at any location between this and integrate with Nb equal to 0, you should be able to obtain this. So, most important here is that we recognize that again this quantity can be written as Ky mass transfer coefficients into Y1 minus Y2 mole fraction difference. So, this is the place where we define mass transfer coefficient in our earlier class, where Ky we write or equals dAb Pt over RT Z ln 1 minus yi over 1 minus y. Okay. This is what we can write here. Ky is the mass transfer coefficients. Of course, this is a very general expressions, but in our case we have also said earlier that we calculate Ky from Reynolds number and Smith number, or from Sherwood number, or from some correlations, all right, which means now we go back and we write G dy over 1 minus y. So, this was a change in the gas phase, and this equate to the flux, which is Ky y minus yi. So, that is what we have, y1 minus y2, we have the diffusion length y1 and y2. In our packed columns now we have y at any locations, and we have bulk concentration from bulk mole fractions y2 yi. So, we are writing y minus yi instead of y1 minus y2 into A cross sectional area and dz. So, this is a place, the equations should be able to recognize that now we are going to get the height of this column. Okay. So, whatever change in the gas phase, this has been balanced, this has been made equal to this mole flux multiplied by the cross sectional area or superficial area, etc. And we have written now Ky, we have introduced this Ky, not unknown quantity. We have earlier said that this Ky should be calculated from the operating conditions, knowing Reynolds number, Smith number, we can calculate this Ky. So, now we have the height of this column jet, or HT, height of the tower, equals 0 to z dz, and then this will be equal to y2 to y1. Remember, y1 is larger than y2, G dy over Ky y minus yi A cross sectional area AT into 1 minus y. So, if we can calculate or we can evaluate this integral, we should be able to get height of this column. Okay. Area superficial or this interfacial area already we have discussed. This comes from the supplier, the manufacturer of the packing, meter square per cubic meter is known to us. AT cross sectional area meter square, this comes from hydrodynamics very often. Pressure drop considerations, which we have discussed earlier, this is nothing but G over G prime, that gives us cross sectional area from where we get this AT. So, all quantities we have to integrate this y or this quantity here, recognizing that G changes along the height of along the length of the column. So, very often this is quite complex, but one can simplify this. So, the same quantity, this integral I can be written as y2 y1. Now, we have G over AT we can write as G prime. So, that is the nomenclature we use, kg per second per meter square cross sectional area, or moles per second per cross sectional area. G prime over Ky A, we can rearrange to write this as 1 minus y I m. So, this is not the first time we have introduced this nomenclature here, the I m, it is a logarithmic average. Okay, we will write it. So, we are dividing and we are multiplying by this quantity 1 minus y I m over the previous quantities y minus y I from here and 1 minus y from here, and we have this dy. Okay. 1 minus y I m is a logarithmic average between 1 minus y, or logarithmic average of 1 minus y and 1 minus y I, ln 1 minus y over 1 minus y I. Okay. So, this integral can be rewritten as G prime Ky I 1 minus y I m into y2 minus y1. Notice y1 is greater than y2, 1 minus y I m over y minus yi 1 minus y dy. Okay. So, we are talking of y and yi at any locations there is a concentrations difference between y and yi as a driving force for mass transfer. The most important that make a note here that we have taken out this quantity outside the integral. So, we assume that this quantity is more or less constant g prime k y a 1 minus y I m is more or less constant, that is an experimental observations, it remains constant along this column, along the height of this column. Although g changes, right, moles per second or kg per second of the gas phase changes, but the ratios of g prime k y 1 minus y also changes along this column. And remember k y also dependent upon y if you recall the previous expressions, but the ratios remains more or less constant here. So, this quantity has been taken out. Now, we call this h t g, height of a transfer unit. So, height of a transfer unit is now g prime as k y a 1 minus y I m, and this can also be written as g prime k g, okay, based on the partial pressure P t 1 minus y I m. So, we are defining this quantity here, height of a transfer unit. We will see later what is the physical meaning of this. For the time being, the quantity which is outside the integral is h t g, and the quantity which is inside the integral n t g is number of a transfer unit or number of transfer units. So, we have number of transfer units as n t g given as y 2 y 1 1 minus y I m over y minus y I 1 minus y dy. All right. So, if you can evaluate this quantity, we can calculate number of transfer units. This integral is still quite complicated, right. So, if you look at the expressions for height of a transfer unit and a number of transfer unit, you must recognize that y changes along this length, right. If you taken a differential elements, y changes from y 1 to y 2. So, mass transfer coefficient will also change. Go back and see the definition for k y we obtain 1 minus y I m, logarithmic average of 1 minus y and 1 minus y I, interfacial concentration also changes. So, the logarithmic average also changes. In other words, one has to redraw the curve of y x equilibrium curve, take a points x and y on the graph, and then calculate y y I at every locations by taking the slope of k g k l, k y k x. Remember when we said earlier that on an equilibrium curve one can draw the operating curve as well as one can also obtain the driving force for mass transfer. If you take a point, take a slope of k y k x minus k y by k x, wherever it intersects, that is y I. So, from that we get y I, one can take several of such points and can evaluate this integral. In principle, it is very possible for this course, and in fact, in most of the industrial applications we have the dilute gases, right, 1% of sulfur dioxides. We do not have 70 or 80% of sulfur dioxide or benzene in the coal gas, etc. Right. So, most of the time very often we have the dilute gases, more or less maximum like 1%. So, if you have 1%, 2%, one can make this dilute gases assumptions. That simplifies all our calculations here. Okay. So, with that assumptions, let us assume that we assume let us say that we assume dilute solutions, which is of course quite common. In that case, you can show that 1 minus y m is approximately 1, that is one thing, and this integral n t g which we have written can be written as y 2 y 1 dy y minus y I plus half ln 1 minus y2 over 1 minus y1, and again this quantity is 1 because y1 y2 mole fractions is much less than 1. It is a dilute gases. So, now we have very simple expressions for height of a column z equals h Tg multiplied by n Tg, height of a transfer unit based on the gas phase, number of the transfer units based on this gas phase. This equals h Tg multiplied by n Tg, where h Tg is g prime k y a. So, 1 minus y I is approximately 1. So, that is we have here, and n Tg is y2 y1 dy over y minus yi. So, now we have the quantity for n Tg. Based on this, we can get the height of this column in terms of meter. So, this J prime is kilomole or kg per second per meter square cross sectional area, and we have this ky, which is also kilomole per second per meter square of interfacial area. So, this interfacial area is a meter square cross sectional area, but we have A, which is meter square per cubic meter of your packed bed columns. So, from here it is easy to show that you should be able to obtain the unit of meter, which is the height of the column, and this is your dimensionless. So, we have the expressions for Z number of transfer units in terms of number of transfer units and height of a transfer units. Let us conclude this section, today's lecture, with the physical meaning of height of a transfer unit and a number of transfer units. Okay. Of course, the total height we understand we required say 5 meters to rectify or to purify our gas from y1 to y2, but what is number of transfer units and what is height of a transfer units? Look at the expression for number of transfer unit. This NTG is y2 y1 dy over y minus yi. We can write as also as, if we make this integrations, we can also write as y1 minus y2 over y minus yi average. So, what we have, how much is the separation here? Overall change in the compositions. So, one end of the column to the other end of the column, y1 minus y2, it is overall change in the compositions from 1% to say 0.001%, 10,000 ppm to 1 ppm, that is y1 minus y2 across this column. And what is y minus yi? It is nothing but the average bar for the average driving force for mass transfer, force for mass transfer. And how do we obtain yi? You recall on this equilibrium curve y and x, we draw this point, take the slope of minus kx over ky. So, at any location, if this is x and y and take the slope, this will hit to give you yi. That is y minus yi is a driving force for mass transfer in the column. So, we have number of transfer unit as a ratios of overall change in the compositions per average driving force for mass transfer. It is quite natural that if driving force increases, number of transfer unit will decrease. We require only 4 units, 5 units instead of 10 units if the driving force is much larger. So, that is one thing for a given compositions. So, y1, y2 generally are known. Now, a number of transfer unit depends upon how large is the driving force. If you have a small driving force, we require larger number of transfer units. Okay. And look at the expression for height of a transfer units. If mass transfer coefficient is very large, okay, then for a given z, height of a column will also be a small. That also very consistent with the physics of this problem. We will come back to this again and again to take an example to see the meaning, physical meaning of number of transfer units. It is nothing but difficulty in the separations, difficulty in separations. Larger number of units shows that there is a driving force for mass transfer is small. Similarly, height of a transfer units. If the Reynolds number is very large, mass transfer coefficient will be large and height of a column will be smaller. So, for a given separations, we require a very small column to transfer or to cause a change in the compositions across any differential elements or across a transfer units, and two together multiplied by this gives you height of a column. All right.